Establishment of the National Commission for Backward Classes, NCBC. The National Commission for Backward Classes, NCBC, was created in response to a judgment made by the Supreme Court of India in 1992, known as the Mandal case. This case highlighted the need to address issues related to the inclusion of various groups in the lists that define backward classes. These lists are important because they help ensure that certain groups receive benefits and protections under governmental schemes aimed at aiding economically and socially disadvantaged people. To ensure that complaints about the inclusion or exclusion of any citizen from these lists were systematically addressed, the Supreme Court directed the central government to create a permanent body. As a result, in 1993, the NCBC was established as a statutory body, meaning it was formed under specific laws passed by the Parliament. In 2018, significant changes were made through the 102nd Amendment Act. This amendment granted constitutional status to the NCBC, elevating its importance and role in safeguarding the rights and interests of socially and educationally backward classes. With this constitutional status, the NCBC was put on the same level as other important bodies, such as the National Commission for Scheduled Castes, NCSC, and the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, NCST. The constitutional change involved the addition of Article 338-B to the Indian Constitution. This article outlines the functions and powers of the NCBC. The main aim is to ensure a more effective way to protect and advance the interests of backward classes in India. The NCBC comprises a chairperson, a vice-chairperson, and 3 other members, all of whom are appointed by the President of India. The conditions regarding their service and the duration of their tenure are also set by the President. According to the rules established by the President, the members serve a term of 3 years and they can serve only 2 terms in total. This constitutional and statutory framework indicates the government's commitment to addressing the needs of backward classes in India and ensuring that their voices are heard in policy-making processes. This helps foster social justice and equality, which are foundational principles enshrined in the Indian Constitution. With Article 46 of the Constitution specifically stating that the state shall promote with special care the educational and economic interests of the weaker sections of the people, the establishment and empowerment of the NCBC signifies significant progress toward achieving these constitutional goals. The Commission has several important responsibilities focused on helping socially and educationally backward classes in India. Here is a simplified explanation of its main functions. One of the primary roles of the Commission is to investigate and keep track of all issues related to constitutional and legal protections for backward classes. This means they look into how these groups are treated under the law and assess whether the existing measures to support them are effective. The Commission also deals with individual complaints. If someone from these backward classes feels that their rights or protections are being ignored or violated, the Commission can investigate these specific issues. It's important that everyone has their rights respected, and the Commission serves as a means to address grievances. In addition to monitoring and investigating, the Commission is actively involved in advising and supporting the economic and social growth of these backward classes. This includes looking at how well these communities are progressing with the help of government initiatives at both the union, central, and state levels. By evaluating development efforts, the Commission can suggest improvements or highlight successful practices. Every year, the Commission prepares and submits reports to the President of India. These reports review how well the legal protections for backward classes are working and if any changes are needed. Importantly, the Commission has the authority to make recommendations on how the union or state government can enhance the effectiveness of these protections. This includes suggesting new measures aimed at improving the welfare and socio-economic status of the backward classes. Furthermore, The Commission may carry out additional tasks related to the protection and advancement of backward classes as designated by the President. This could involve a wide range of activities aimed at ensuring that these communities move toward a better standard of living. In terms of legal frameworks, Articles 15 and 46 of the Indian Constitution are particularly relevant. Article 15 prohibits discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth, while Article 46 promotes the educational and economic interests of the weaker sections of society, especially those belonging to scheduled castes, SCs, and scheduled tribes, STs. These articles provide a strong foundation for the work of the Commission by ensuring that backward classes receive necessary protections and support. Overall, the Commission plays a crucial role in ensuring that socially and educationally backward classes are given the rights and opportunities they deserve, helping them to improve their living conditions and achieve their potential. The Commission in India is responsible for preparing an annual report that it presents to the President of India. Besides this yearly report, the Commission can also submit other reports whenever it feels there is a need to do so. Once the President receives these reports, they are shared with the Parliament. Accompanying these reports, there is a memorandum that explains what actions have been taken based on the suggestions made by the Commission. This memorandum also plays an important role. It must detail why any recommendations made by the Commission were not accepted. This transparency is crucial for accountability in governance, ensuring that government actions are explained to the public. Furthermore, if the Commission prepares a report that is related to a state government, the President will send it directly to that specific state government instead of sending it through the state governor. Once the state government receives the report, it must present it to the state legislature. Like the process with the central government, the state memorandum must also include explanations for any recommendations that were not accepted. This process is outlined in the Constitution of India, specifically in Article 338B, which details the functions and responsibilities of the Commission as well as the reporting mechanism. The article aligns with the principles of good governance, which includes transparency and accountability at all levels of government. In India, such checks and governance ensure that various agencies and commissions can effectively contribute to decision-making through their insights and recommendations. This is significant for the overall health of democracy, reinforcing the need for governments to listen to established bodies that gather and analyze information for improvement. Additionally, following the constitutional framework, various laws and policies may further support the Commission in carrying out its duties, ensuring that the recommendations lead to meaningful changes in governance and policy making. Overall, the function of the Commission in presenting its reports reflects the democratic ethos of India, promoting informed decision-making within the governmental framework. Powers of the Commission. The Commission is given the authority to establish its own procedures. This means it can decide how it wants to carry out its work. When the Commission is investigating issues or looking into complaints, it has the same powers as a civil court. This gives the Commission several important abilities, such as summoning people, meaning it can call individuals from anywhere in India to appear before it and have them answer questions under oath. Requiring people to provide documents that may be important for their investigation. Accepting evidence in the form of affidavits, which are written statements confirmed by oath, often used when a person's testimony is needed but they cannot appear in person. Requesting public records from courts or government offices to gather necessary information for their case. Issuing summons to ensure that witnesses and documents are presented during investigations. Tackling any other matters that the President of India finds relevant. The Commission also plays a significant role in advising both the central and state governments on important policies that impact socially and educationally backward classes. This means the government must check with the Commission when making policies that relate to improving the status and rights of these groups. However, a change known as the 105th Amendment Act of 2021 made an important adjustment. This amendment allows state governments to create and maintain their own lists of socially and educationally backward classes without needing to consult the Commission. This means that while the Commission advises on broader issues, individual states can manage their lists and classifications independently. Understanding the powers and functions of the Commission is important, especially in the context of Indian laws. The Constitution of India, specifically under Article 338, outlines the establishment of the National Commission for Scheduled Castes, which contributes to the welfare of these communities. Meanwhile, Article 340 suggests that the President can appoint a commission to investigate the conditions of the socially and educationally backward classes. This shows that the role of the Commission is rooted in the Constitution, which emphasizes its intention to support underprivileged groups in society. Overall, the Commission holds a critical position in India's governance structure by ensuring that the rights and needs of socially and educationally backward classes are recognized and addressed through legal frameworks and policies.